Okay, students. So we are going to start with fluid mechanics. Okay, and fluid mechanics is one of the basic subjects for mechanical, civil, chemical, and aerospace engineers. Okay, as well as production engineers. Okay, this comes in basic engineering. Okay, and some of the topics of this particular subject sometimes would have been covered in your PUC or your 12th standard. Okay, so some of them may feel familiar to you, but what we will do is we will have much deeper understanding into those concepts which you have studied in your PUC or 12th standard. Okay, 11th and 12th standard. Some of them even in the 10th standard of the school you have studied. Okay, within matriculation you would have studied. Okay, so now whenever we say fluid mechanics, whenever we say fluid mechanics, first of all, we have studied in our engineering what is mechanics. We know mechanics. What is mechanics? Mechanics is about motion, is it not? Is it only motion? No. It is about forces and forces that can cause motion and how the motion can be caused. All the things, motion and forces, these two things comes under mechanics. So if it is in stationary, then it is statics. If it is going to with the motion, you can have kinematics, then you may have dynamics, right? So you may have statics where you will have the body in rest. So you will have, similar way you will have fluid statics where body is in rest but it does not it does not move. It is under the action of forces. Okay, then there is fluid kinetics or kinematics. Okay, fluid kinematics, where we are worried about fluid being in motion but not with forces. Forces we are not worried. Kinematics is without forces into consideration. We are worried about velocity, acceleration, such kind of things. So what we are worried? We are worried about velocity and acceleration, correct, and some more concepts related to this. Then we have dynamics. Now when you say dynamics, what we are worried about? We are worried about forces causing, what is the force due to motion of the fluid, okay, how fluid can be made to move using the forces. This kind of things comes in dynamics. Okay, now first of all we have to understand what is a fluid, correct? What is a fluid? If you understand what is a fluid, if in a layman term I can say it is both gases plus liquids. This is what constitutes a fluid. Gases plus liquids constitutes a fluid. But now the question is, what are the other definition? What is the better definition you can give? Okay, one of the things for liquids, you can say it occupies the space, right? You can say one of the examples is that you can say liquid takes the shape of the container. This is what we have studied in our 10th standard. If any 10th standard kid is asked what is a liquid, he will say the one which gets the shape of the container. Okay, even gas, you can say gas is one where if you put the gas inside a closed space, it will occupy the whole space, correct? It will occupy the whole space. That is a gas. But this definition is not enough. What is the actual definition for fluid which can go with both gases as well as liquids? That we will see. Okay, so now what we are doing is, just a second students, yeah, okay, yes. So now let us see what is the definition of a fluid. What is the definition of a fluid? Students, you can stop me at any point of time and ask questions until you understand. We are not going to go further. That is how the things will be. Okay. Now, before going for definition of fluid, let us understand what is a solid. Okay. Now, solid is how? Solid has its definite shape. Fine. Solid has a definite shape. Okay. Now, the difference between solid and fluid arises when shear stress is applied. When does it arise? It arises when shear stress is applied. So let us take a solid element and a fluid element. Okay. Now you may say there is another definition we can say. Fluid is the one which flows. So we can say fluid flows. Correct? We say fluid flows. But what is flows? What do you mean by flow? The question is, every time we introduce some other terms, we have to understand what are these, is it not? What do you mean by flow has to be understood. Let us understand. So now, if I fix the solid over here, okay, that fluid solid element, and then I put a force here, if I apply a force. Now whatever force is applied, it will deform, correct? Solid will deform. It will have a shear strain, is it not? What is shear strain? Shear strain is the angle by which this fluid element is distorted, or this solid element is distorted. This one, theta, is a strain, is it not? So this theta, when you say it is, when theta is equal to very small, when theta is is almost equal to 0, what happens? Tan theta is equal to theta. Okay, shear strain is always this length divided by this length. Okay, so that strain, which is the angle, tan theta is equal to theta, that angle by which it is getting deformed. Okay, so what is happening when you put a force? It deforms and it stops. After deformation it stops. What happens? There is an internal resistance which is counteracting this action of the force. Correct? The internal resistance, the elastic property, or the Young's modulus which is there, or the modulus of elasticity which is there, will act in such a way that it counteracts this force by producing stresses in this element. Correct? So the force which is done here, the shear force which is there, for this there is a counteracting force which is caused by shear stress. Correct? So there is a counteracting force that is caused by shear stress. So when this force is equal to the force generated by the shear stress, the body will come in equilibrium. So you cannot have more deformation. Whereas in the case of fluids, what happens? Whatever small force you apply, okay, the fluid element deforms, but it doesn't stop there. It continuously deforms. Until that force is there, the deformation is continuous. So theta doesn't remain same. What is happening? This theta changes with the time. So theta is a function of time even if F force is almost equal to 0 or force tends to 0. Okay, so theta, it will continuously deform. You can see that if you put a fluid anywhere, even if you say in case of seas, if you know, sea is such a big water body, correct? But because of the winds flowing over it, you have waves over it, is it not? Why is that? Because of the winds which is flowing. So whatever small, see, compared to the mass of the whole fluid element, whole sea, this is a very small force for the wind force, but still it makes waves on the this one, and it doesn't stop. You see how much time it takes to stop. Or for example, even if you say deform, you can put some water on a particular this one, and you can have water here, and if you see, when you deform this, it continuously deforms, it doesn't stop. What it happens? It flows. Now what do you mean by flow? You can say in one way you can say continuous straining. Correct? Continuous strain. There is continuous straining of the element when there is a small force which is applied. So what is a fluid? Fluid is such substance which experiences shear strain, continuous shear strain, or deforms continuously under the action of forces, however small it may be. So what is definition of a fluid? Definition of a fluid is a substance, fluid is a substance, or matter is a matter, okay, is a matter, okay, or state of matter. Fluid is a state of matter, state of matter, which deforms continuously, deforms continuously under the action of shear forces, under the action of shear forces, however small the shear forces may be, however small the magnitude of shear force may be. Okay, for even a small shear force, the fluid element continuously deforms. Okay, such kind of matter, state of matter, is called a fluid. Okay, so examples, what gets into it is gases plus liquids. All these agree to this particular definition. Any doubt, students? Here you can write it. I'll give you time. We are going slow, okay, that's why we take more time. But what happens is, you need not take much time outside your this class is more than enough. Then afterwards you can just go through it and you will understand. That is the main purpose. Okay, done, students?
Hello, sir.
Clear with the concepts? Okay. What is a fluid? First thing is, what is required is, what is a fluid? Okay, just a second, students. I continuously see my WhatsApp this one, so that if students wants to ask questions sometimes, I cannot see Google Meet here. Okay, so if I cannot see Google Meet, I continuously go for WhatsApp. One second. Anil is there? Anil ji?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. You have sent me a voice message. Okay, so yes, it is started.
By mistake.
Yeah, it's okay. Abhik, you are there? Abhik?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very nice. Okay, so this is how the classes will be, where I will continuously interact with students. Okay, now just a second. Okay, next one. Now let us see something. What we have seen now, we have seen something which has a difference between, or the solids and liquids together. We have pooled it together, correct? So there is one concept which is applied to both fluid and a liquid, both gases and a liquid. The concept is called continuum approach. Now this continuum approach or continuum theory, it encompasses solids, liquids and gases. Okay, now what do you mean by continuum approach? See, when we go for actual state of matter, what are matter made out of? It is made out of molecules, and these molecules are made out of atoms. These atoms are made out of protons, neutrons and all those things, correct? So it's very complex out there. Okay, but for engineering applications, okay, we need not worry about these molecules and this one. We can take it as a whole. Okay, we need not take it as pieces, because the matter is actually in pieces. There is a lot of space in between each molecules, correct? But for engineering, we can take it as a whole, and that approach is continuum approach in a zest. Okay, so let us understand what is continuum approach to a much deeper sense. Okay, now let us take density, for example. If we consider density, what is density? Density is mass per volume, correct? What is density? Mass per volume. Now if you say water, What is the density of water? Water density is generally represented by rho. Density of water is how much? Can you tell me? Density of water is 1000 kg per meter cube, correct? That is the density of water, 1000 kg per meter cube. Now, if I say 1 meter cube is 1000 liters, is it not? 1000 liters. How it's coming as 1000 liters? Because 1 meter cube is equal to, or 1 liter, which is not an SI unit, is 1 decimeter cube, correct? So 1 decimeter is 10 power minus 1, the whole cube. So 10 power minus 3 meter cube, correct? So now 1 liter is 10 power minus 3 meter cube. So if I take 1 liter of water, it will weigh 1 kg, correct? If I take 1 meter cube is 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. Just putting equations is not enough, students. You have to imagine, okay? Imagination is powerful than knowledge, that is told by Albert Einstein, correct? So we have to understand that it is not just formula and formula substitution, okay? So we are going from the very basics and we are building up, okay? What we have to build up? We have to build up an understanding of engineering, okay? Very important, okay? So now 1 liter will weigh 1 kg. If I take half liter, obviously 0.5 kg, correct? It's clear. 0.1 liter, we will have 0.1 kg, okay? So whatever the volume I take, the density remains same, is it not? So what is happening? If I put volume versus density, say this is 0 volume and volume increases, so you will see that with the volume the density remains constant. Whatever the volume you take, density remains constant, but that is not for always. Now when you go lower and lower volume, for example, you take a volume of say 100 nano or 10 nanometer cube, 10 nanometer cube. Now 1 atom is of the order of nanometers, okay? Or we can say 100 nanometer cube or 1000 nanometer cube. Now what happens? The volume is so small that sometimes in that volume there might be around 100 molecules or 100 atoms. At some other time there might be 10 atoms, okay? So the density, depending on the experiment, does not remain constant. So as the volume reduces, there is a anomaly here. The density can be anywhere in this range, correct? The density can be anywhere in this range. It can be anywhere, okay? Depending on the time, how many molecules are there in that volume, the mass changes. So density changes. So now continuum approach is the one where you take when you consider differentiation. For example, if I say d rho by dt, change of density by time. Now this time or this d, how small that d can be, or we can say dv by dt, change in volume by time. Now this volume, this is a differential volume, small volume, okay? Or we can say say temperature by volume, forces per volume. Now how small this volume has to be? This dt by dv is, or d energy, we can say energy, okay? Energy per volume. So we can, what is this? This is limit delta v tending to 0, that's this small volume is tending to 0, and we have delta E by delta V. This is the definition of differentiation. Now here this delta V cannot go smaller than this. This is the limit. So this is continuum limit, you can say. This is a limit above which we have to take continuum approach. Continuum approach. After this, the volume above which there is no difference in the density, or there is no variation in the density with experiments, that particular point, after that whatever you take is continuum approach. So what is happening? Continuum approach here, we take fluids, or generally for engineering, we will think that it is a continuous matter, continuous domain, we take it like that, and then we go forward. Correct? So that is continuum approach. Do you understand, students? So continuum approach is valid after this one. Okay, but before this, what do we go? This is called rarefied. For example, when you go rarefied mechanics, you can say rarefied gases, you can say rarefied substances, where what happens, this is sometimes at the high reaches of atmosphere, the amount of molecules per unit space is so less. Correct? So there continuum approach cannot be applied. Okay, we have to go with molecule by molecule there. Any doubts here, students?
Sir, what do you mean by dE by dV?
dE means, D means small change, E means energy. I'm talking about energy per volume. In case I take what is the energy per volume, maybe thermal energy, maybe potential energy per unit volume, or kinetic energy per unit volume, which we will take in Bernoulli's equation later on. Correct? So this small volume has to be such that this delta V cannot be smaller than this. That's what we take. Okay, so if there is a application where you are having delta V going lesser than this, then you cannot use continuum approach. So whatever fluid mechanics theories we are using now will go with with continuum approach. Okay, so it is called, see, there is in MTech, when you go, there is a subject called continuum mechanics. Okay, there is a subject called continuum mechanics. In this continuum mechanics, what you do, you talk about stresses, strain, okay, in fluids as well as solids together. Okay, we are considering continuum matter, and then we go with analysis of that. I hope it's clear, students. We will talk about vibrations, we will talk about plasticity, all those things comes under continuum mechanics.
Sir, how we can find that limit above which it is continuum?
See, how to find out is a very good this one. There is a thing called see, it depends on the experiments, first of all. Okay, you have to do experiments and you have to find it out. Okay, and there is just a second, I'm not recalling it. Okay. Anyhow, the thing is that you have to do experiments. Okay, and by it has been established now what is the for different materials it will be different. Okay, this volume is different for different materials, but generally in our solution, when you solve that, we are not worried about this volume. We have to see it is not rarefied, that's it. Okay, for example, if you are going for higher what you say, if you say combustion of a rocket, okay, or if you say like this, okay, let me come ahead. Okay, just a second. Okay, now in case we'll take for example jet engine, for example. Okay, if you take jet engine, how high this jet engine can go? Okay, it is such a height it can go till where the air is not rarefied. Now what do you mean by rarefication? This rarefication is based on mean free path. There is something called mean free path. Okay, there is one thing called Knudsen number. There is something called Knudsen number, which is the ratio of, just a second, I will just clarify, it is the ratio of mean free path divided by the what is the characteristic dimension you are taking. Okay, what is the dimension you are taking? Okay, or characteristic length, I can say, or it is the reverse of this. Just a second, let me confirm that, whether it is this or the reciprocal of that. That's what I have to confirm. Okay, that's it. Okay, so I'll go to Google and I will see whether it is the reciprocal of or the other way around. Okay, Knudsen number. Yes. So yes, it is the ratio of the, I am correct, it is the ratio of mean free path by length. What is mean free path? Mean free path is you have a molecule, and a gas is what? Gas is made out of number of molecules, is it not? So now if this molecule, how far it will go and hit, what is the length it will move forward to hit another molecule, that average is called the mean free path. Now mean free path by characteristic length gives the Knudsen number. Okay, now when the Knudsen number is very small compared to characteristic length, what do you mean by characteristic length? Characteristic length means you are using an instrument, and what is the length of that instrument. For example, if you are using a jet engine, you may have at the order of 10 meters. Okay, it's at the order, jet engine, how big it might be? It might be an order of 10 meters. Now what is the Knudsen number we are worried about? For example, if you consider on the surface of the earth, the mean free path of air is in terms of nanometers. Okay, and if you go above, say around 50,000 meters, okay, or 1 lakh kilometer, okay, 1 lakh meter, that is 100 kilometer, you will feel that the variation of the mean free path goes in meters or even kilometers. Let me tell you. Okay, I'll go to the Google and see, students, what is the mean free path of air at ground level, at the sea level. Okay, mean free path of air at the sea level. Can you tell me? Air at sea level. Can you tell me what is that? And air at, say, 100 kilometers. See, you will see there is a lot of difference here. Okay, now yeah, I'll just find it out. Okay, so this is the Knudsen number. Okay, so if this Knudsen number is less than 0.01, if the Knudsen number is less than 0.01, it is called continuum. Okay, it is called continuum flow. What is that called? It is called continuum flow if the Knudsen number is less than 0.01. If it is from 0.01 to Kn is less than 0.1, it is called the slip flow. We are not worried about that. Okay, so this is not important, only this is important. Okay, Knudsen number, not for gate it is not asked much, but still if it is asked you can get it. Okay, it's not at all asked. Knudsen number is never asked till now. Okay, but still, what is wrong in knowing, is it not? Just because you have asked the question, I have gone to this, otherwise I wouldn't have gone to Knudsen number. Okay, so Knudsen number is mean free path by length, characteristic length. Now what is the mean free path of air at sea level, students? Have you found it out? Please tell me. Use Google nicely. Okay, don't worry. Okay, we are not in a what do you say, in a way that I am stopping you from going anywhere. No, it's free. Okay, so mean free path of air,
0.1 micrometer.
Yes, it is 0.1 micrometer. Correct? 0.1 micrometer. And what is at 100 kilometers? Can you tell me? Order is important.
Centimeter.
Oh, very good. Okay, I don't know you. That is the order. Okay, that is the order. Okay, so yes, see here. It is yes, it is at the altitude of 100 kilometer. The mean free path is 1 meter. So it is 1 meter. That's what is what is given. And at the yeah, that's how it is. Okay. So what is happening? It is changing like anything. So now if you see characteristic length, when you say 100 kilometers, okay, 100 kilometers, what is the Knudsen number? Knudsen number will be 1 meter divided by 10 meter. So that is 0.1 is the Knudsen number for a particular gas engine or the plane, the jet engine, which is going above at 100 kilometer, you have to consider rarefied flow. You cannot consider it as a continuum flow. Okay, so continuum approach is not valid because why? Because Knudsen number is greater than 0.01. I hope you get the point, students. So that is how we understand whether we can apply continuum mechanics or whether we can apply rarefied flow mechanics. Okay, here in case of on the sea level, whatever you take, you will not take any devices, even a micro devices. For example, there are number of applications in our in our IIT Madras. There is a professor called Ashish Kumar Sen. See, here I will give you all the things here. Ashish Kumar Sen is a professor in IIT Madras. Okay, he works on microfluidics. He tries to find out the lab on chip. Lab on chip is that you take, now what is happening now, if you want to take a blood test, you have to give full what you say around 10 ml of blood, is it not? Is it possible that you take only one drop of blood and test the blood? Okay, so for that what should happen? There should be micro devices. With one drop, 10 types of test has to be done. So what he does is, he does small channels whose dimensions are of the order of say 0.1 millimeters. Okay, so even if the dimension is 0.1 millimeter, for a liquid it is not a rarefied, it is a continuum only. He will have one chip which is having say 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. Okay, and on that he tests. There are small pumps which he designs. Okay, the whole length of the pump or the pumping, what happens to around 10 millimeter, 1 centimeter. That much is the pump he is using. Okay, 1 centimeter is the length of the pipe. Pump would be this small only, 0.1 millimeter, that kind of or 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter pump he uses. Okay, and the concepts that is used there is different than, we cannot use centrifugal pump there. Okay, there is something called peristatic pumps. This is just to show you some of the what you say applications. Okay, so whenever I go whenever I am doing this subject, I will tell you what are all happening in research field today. Okay, so there is something called peristatic pump. Okay, or if you consider our lungs, for example, our lungs, the alveoli in the lungs are so thin. Okay, but even there rarefied gas dynamics cannot be used. Okay, what we have to use continuum only. Okay, so these are all the points which I have to tell. Any doubts here, students? No doubts? Can we go further? Okay, so one by one we will see. Okay, now this class is about properties of fluids, correct? So when you consider properties of fluids, what are the properties we have to consider? Okay, the properties of fluids, when you say, first one is density, we can say, which is very easy, correct? So one by one we will see all the properties, students. Please ask questions, students. There is no problem in asking questions, and even if it is outside the topic which you are discussing, no trouble at all. Please ask. Okay, properties of fluids, very simple one. What I am doing, density, you know, I don't have to put much. Now density, when we say, it's not enough. Okay, we have to know what are the density of different liquids, correct? So you know it, but still I will tell you. Okay, air is around 1.2, correct? Then water is around 1.2 kg per meter cube, and water is 1000 kg per meter cube, correct? So density plays an important role. Okay, and you can say mercury is 13,000, correct? It's one of the heaviest metal, right? So this way you can see. Can you tell me which is the heaviest? So this is mercury. Okay, like that it goes. You know this, I don't have to tell. Okay, I'm not going to the depth of it. Then there is something called specific volume. I'll just go rip through it. Okay, you know these things. There's nothing great. What is specific volume? Specific volume generally represented by V. Density is done generally by rho. Density is mass per volume, and specific volume is volume per mass. It is called volume per mass. Specific, whenever you say, it is per mass generally. Okay, what happens whenever specific is used, it is per mass. For example, if you consider specific energy means energy per mass, not per volume, keep in mind. Okay, for example, if you say one of the form of energy is, you can say internal energy, correct? Internal energy is a form of energy, is it not, students? Then what else you have? Other forms of energy, can you tell me, students? Anyhow, the mechanical engineers can do better. What are the forms of energy we can have? Please tell me. This is interactive, students, so kindly get a headphone where you can speak. Okay, yeah, or you can speak with your mobile also, right? You need not use your this one. You can just speak. You can switch on the microphone and you can speak. Yeah, please tell me, students. What are the other form of energies? What is internal energy?
So heat.
Huh?
Heat.
Heat energy. Very good. Heat energy. Then others.
Heat work also.
Work is the energy spent, is it not? Work is the energy spent. So what is stored energy is generally, you cannot say energy per mass, you cannot say heat energy. When you say heat, now we have to understand, heat is not, it is an energy, you can say heat is a form of energy in dissipation. It is not a stored energy. It cannot come as a proper energy. It cannot come as a stored. You cannot talk in terms of specific energy there. Why? It is in transition. It goes from one place to other. What is in transition, only that we call it as heat and work. So very important concept here. Heat and work are the energy in transition. It is not a type of stored energy. Internal energy is a type of stored energy. We can say energy per mass. You cannot say heat per mass. Can you say that? No way. Heat is in terms of watt per watt only, right? So amount of joules per second. It's a flow. You can say per meter square if you want. It gives the heat flux, correct? But you cannot say heat per mass. You cannot say. Can you say heat per mass? No. Correct, students? Internal energy per mass you can say, which is related to CV into temperature, correct? What are the other forms of energy? Civil engineers also can say this. You did not have thermodynamics for this. What are the other forms of energy?
So enthalpy.
This is what is the answer I wanted from you people. Okay, enthalpy is not a form of energy. Don't get it. Enthalpy is not a form of energy. It is nothing but internal energy plus PV. This is flow work. Okay, PV is flow work. It is not a form of energy. It is not a form of stored energy. Very important. But we use it a lot of times. But enthalpy, you don't say it is a form of energy. No, not. Because why? Because the stored energy, this is the energy in transition. Okay, PV is flow work. Okay, this is flow work. This we are going to use in Bernoulli's equation later on, where we take P by rho G. We take that in Bernoulli's equation. At that time we will consider this. Okay. Now, what are the other form of energy? Enthalpy is not a form of energy. Other form of stored energy, can you tell me?
Chemical, electrical.
Chemical, very good. Chemical is one of the form of stored energy. You can see chemical energy which is stored. Okay. Any other?
Light.
Okay, let us not go there. Okay. Others.
Electrical.
Then
can't we say light is for solar energy?
let us not go there. I have a bit of what you say loose concepts there, so I will not go towards that area. Okay, because that all the things in quantum and all those things is really difficult for me to understand. So I don't want to go towards that particular thing. What is there in engineering, let us see. Okay, don't go for physics. Okay, strong physics. Okay, go towards engineering more and tell me what you see in day-to-day life, what you have come across.
Vibrations like sound are a form of energy.
Okay, sound energy, you can say. Any other things? It's actually sound energy, you can say. It is a pressure waves only, is it not? And energy is being dissipated, correct? Any other? Stored energy. I want stored energy. Think, students.
Energy stored in spring.
Elastic energy, correct. That is fine. That is, elastic energy is a form of energy. Fine. Okay, any other things? That is stored energy. Actually, this comes as a part of internal energy only. Okay, it is stored in terms of elasticity. It is stored in molecules, correct? So it is a form of internal energy only. Any other things? One of the main thing you have missed, students, is potential and kinetic energy. Potential and kinetic energy. This is the basic thing which is required for fluid mechanics. One is potential energy, one is kinetic energy, and another one is pressure energy. When you say pressure energy, it is related to flow work. How it is there, we will see when we are going with this one. But here, why did I take this? I took from volume per mass. So when you consider volume per mass, okay, that is, whenever per mass is there, it is specific. Okay, but there is one exception to this. Okay, the exception is like this. Okay, just a second. The exception is here, where we consider something called specific gravity. We consider something called specific gravity. This specific gravity, there is a lot of ways in which you can say S is not per unit mass. What is that? It is the ratio of you can say density of a gas or liquid to the density of a standard liquid or gas. Generally, the standard liquid is taken as water. Okay, generally the standard liquid is water. Okay, in engineering application, we are not worried about others. There are applications. The world is very big, and there are a number of things which are there in the world, so we are not worried. In engineering applications, water is taken as a standard liquid. Water is taken as a standard fluid, you can say. Standard fluid. In some of the other applications, they may take hydrogen as a standard fluid, anything. In that way, if you see, what is the even in water and air is also taken as a standard liquid sometimes. Okay, so when you take gases, you take with respect to air. Okay, so if you consider a specific gravity of say mercury, that will come as 13,600 kg per meter cube, which is the density of mercury, divided by density of water is 1000 kg per meter cube, and that is equal to 13.6. So it doesn't have a unit, correct? Simple and straight. Okay, I don't think we have to go further on this, students, because you are very much aware of this. It is just for telling you that I have told. Okay, next one is about viscosity. So we are worried about different types of properties of the fluid. Okay, there are something called fluid properties, and then there is flow property. Okay, we will talk about flow properties later on. Okay, let us consider fluid property. Okay, now let us consider fluid property, which is viscosity. Now what is viscosity? Okay, first let us see the definition, why viscosity is important. Okay, now what is happening is whenever a solid is there, till now no doubts, is it not, students? Okay, so whenever you have a solid, when you deform the solid, correct, when you apply a force on the solid, it deforms. When you say force, here keep in mind, whenever I say forces, whenever I say stresses, whenever I say strain, all means shear. shear force, shear strain, shear stress. Okay, shear force causes stress, stress causes strain, correct? That has to be understood. Okay, so force is applied. Okay, when the force is applied on this fluid element or solid element, what is happening? It gives back the internal resistance to this force is taken as stress. Now solid has stress. Very good. Solid has stress. Okay, a person who is very strong has a lot of stress. Okay, the person who is fluidic doesn't worry about anything. He doesn't have any stress, or is it? Okay, we will see. Does a fluid have stress? Because it flows, is it not? Does fluid experience stress? Is a question. Okay, and the answer is yes, but the stress is not proportional. For this particular, in case of solid, what happens? Stress is proportional to strain. And what do we use? We use a constant of proportionality, and we say this is equal to stress is equal to E, which is the what is that? Which is the modulus of elasticity, or Young's modulus, into epsilon. Is it not? This is the basic Hooke's law, correct? So here this is Young's modulus of elasticity, or Young's modulus, correct? The same thing, does it happen in case of fluids? Yes, it does. But the reason for stress is not the shear strain, but the rate of shear strain. In case of fluid, what is happening? It is continuously flowing, is it not, students? So what is happening? It is continuously flowing. So one by one it is flowing. So what is important here in this case is not the stress here. Okay, it is not the strain, but the rate of strain. What is it? It is the rate of strain that causes stress. So here this is in case of linear one. If you consider shear, then it is tau is proportional to, I can say, gamma, and then I can say tau is equal to G, which is modulus of rigidity into gamma. This is considered in case of solids, is it not? What is this? This is modulus of rigidity, correct? This is Young's modulus. So shear strain, this is the case. Whereas in case of fluids, it is this is strain, we can say in terms of theta also, or gamma also, anything. This one, or theta, I will say theta only, let it be. Okay, G theta. Okay, that's how we put it, is it not? In case of fluids, what happens? In case of fluids, shear stress is not proportional to theta, but it is proportional to d theta by dt. I hope you get that. It is proportional to rate of shear strain. What is it? The shear stress is proportional to rate of shear strain, or it varies with rate of shear strain. But here, what is the proportionality constant? Or is it a constant? Proportionality constant we say generally, but sometimes it need not be a constant also. Okay, so but it is clear that as rate of shear strain increases, shear stress increases. So fluid also experiences stresses. Now how does it? How do you feel it in the real world? Real world, when you try to shear, for example, a viscous oil, when you hold it and you try to squeeze it, it is not easily squeezable, correct? Whereas the liquid which is easily squeezable, for example, I'll take a bottle of water, okay, and if you take one drop on your hand, okay, let me take, I'm sorry, okay, one drop, you can squeeze it easily. But the same thing, you take an oil, okay, one of the good brand is Parachute, okay, so you take an oil and try to squeeze it, you see it will become very sticky, is it not? It is very sticky, okay. That particular thing is called viscosity. Okay, we understand all the things, but we have to understand this, and it is not related to density. Density is different and viscosity is different. More the density doesn't mean more viscous it is. It can be more dense but less viscous. For example, the same thing, water and oil. Water is highly dense but less viscous. Oil is less dense but more viscous. So viscosity and density are unrelated properties of fluids. Okay, so now here tau is proportional to d theta by dt. Now what is the proportionality constant? We will see later, but we know that rate of shear strain is proportional. So in this one, so rate of shear strain is proportional to this. Now if I take in a linear sense, you say this is a linear spring. If I take linear one, which is not non-linear, non-linear means the E changes, okay, E doesn't remain the same. That's what is non-linear, correct? So if you consider linear, okay, in the stress and strain, what is happening is, if you consider for some of the fluid, for some fluids, not all, for some fluids, or you can say for, yeah, you have any doubts here, students? Yes, students, any doubts here? Somebody?
Sir, it is a molecular property, right? Viscosity.
Viscosity is a molecular property, correct. It depends on the molecules, correct, very correct. Okay, how the molecular arrangement is there, that causes viscosity, very true. Okay, we will discuss more. After this we will consider how viscosity changes for gases as well as liquids, and at that time we will go to the depth of this. Okay, so for some fluids what is happening, tau is equal to some constant, that constant is called viscosity, okay, coefficient of viscosity, okay, into d theta by dt. So this one is constant of viscosity, coefficient of viscosity, coefficient of dynamic viscosity, so it is called. What is that? It is called coefficient of dynamic viscosity, okay. So this coefficient of dynamic viscosity is the proportionality constant, and this one where it says the shear stress is proportional to rate of shear strain is called Newton's law of viscosity. Okay, Newton comes everywhere. Okay, so shear stress is proportional to rate of shear strain, proportional to rate of shear strain is what? Newton's law of viscosity. It is Newton's law of viscosity. Very, very important, students. You can put 5, 10, any number of stars for this. Okay, very important concept. You used a lot of times. It's a very basic. Okay, so Newton's law of viscosity says shear stress is proportional to the rate of shear strain, and here the proportionality constant comes as mu. And when this particular thing, any fluid follows, such kind of fluids is called Newtonian fluids. The one which follows this Newton's law of viscosity is called Newtonian fluids. Most of the fluids like air, water, gases, like in normal temperatures, comes as a Newtonian fluid, but there are some other which is non-Newtonian. For example, you have your paint is a non-Newtonian fluid, or the batter what you do in your to make idli or dosa, okay, that the idli or dosa batter is a non-Newtonian fluid. Okay, so there are a number of non-Newtonian fluids also in this one, but most of the fluids, engineering fluids like air, water, nitrogen, oxygen, now oxygen is in great demand, right? These are all Newtonian fluids. Okay, easy, students? Any doubts here? Very, very important. Fine. Yeah, next one, let us see how we can understand this further. Okay, so what is that? Shear stress is proportional to the rate of shear strain. Fine. Next one, yes, shear stress is proportional to the rate of shear strain is very correct. Okay, but what is rate of shear strain? Let us see, because we cannot measure theta everywhere, is it not? Can we take every fluid and measure theta and see the theta with the time? It is very difficult to see that, is it not? So let us see whether we can put this d theta by dt in terms of measurable quantities. Okay, what is a measurable quantity, students? What can be measured in fluid? It is velocity, is it not? So let us see whether we can put it in terms of velocity. Okay, for example, if say this is theta, okay, and this particular distance you can say, okay, let this be delta, this be y, and this will be delta x. So with y it changes. We are not worried about when this is small, we are not worried about this change because that's very, very small. Okay, so when you consider tan theta can be equal to theta when it is small, and it can be delta x by, you can say, y, correct? Delta x by y is tan theta, correct? Now what happens? What is rate of shear strain? Rate of shear strain is d theta by this one. So d theta by dt, I can write limit delta t tending to 0, delta theta by delta t, or I can say delta theta by delta t can be written as delta theta by you can say just a second, students, this can be so here this theta can be written as what? Delta x by y, is it not? So I can say limit delta t tending to 0, I can say delta theta, I can say delta x, or if I put delta y also, don't worry, it is a small one, we will say delta y, okay? So limit delta t tending to 0, I can say delta x by delta t divided by delta y. I can say that because d theta is delta x by delta y, is it not, students? So now this total, when delta t tending to 0, this can be written as, this whole thing can be written as du by whatever is remaining, this delta d theta, this delta y, as limit tends to 0, as delta y tending to 0, I can put this as dy. So here what is happening is d theta by dt can be written as du by dy, where u is equal to or u is equal to du is equal to d theta by dt, okay? Where u is equal to d theta by dt, I can convert rate of change of what do you say, rate of change of shear strain, or rate of shear strain, as velocity gradient. So what is happening? This rate of shear strain is equal to the velocity gradient. What velocity gradient? U velocity and this perpendicular distance between two lamellae, or two, in case of fluids, what is happening here is you have one lamellae here, another lamellae here, which is moving like this. So what is happening? There is a u here, and then there is a length here, okay? So how does it change? Okay, so for example, if it is u1 here, okay, at this lamella, and this is u2 here, so what is d theta by dt? D theta by dt can be equal to this, you say y, okay, or h. So if it is linear, if it is small enough, we can take it as linear. If it is not linear, it becomes difficult. It is parabolic and all those things, it's different, okay? If we consider it as linear, then d theta by dt can be written as u2 minus u1 divided by h, okay? How? That is equal to du by dy, correct? dy is h, du is u2 minus u1. So like that, the rate of shear strain is equal to the velocity gradient. This is very, very, very important, students. I hope you get that. Any doubts here? Let it sink in, okay? Yeah, tell me. Done? Okay, good. Next one. Yes. So now, when you say d theta, I'll tell you once again, okay? So d theta by dt, now what is that? I'll tell you in a simple fashion, okay? So what is d theta by dt? What is that? You change the strain divided by, I can say, dt. So delta t I can say, correct? So now this delta strain, what is strain here? Which is change in angle. It is delta x by delta t, correct? And then you have delta x by delta y, correct? I can say delta x by delta y, and then I can say 1 by delta t is remaining here, correct? So if I take limit, small limit towards y and limit towards temperature, both things like that, limits towards time, both things if you take, then this can be reduced. See, dx, this can be written as delta x by delta t, and here I can say 1 by delta y, when it is small element, delta y can go to 0, and when the time is small, that is when you take the differentiation with respect to time, this becomes small. So this whole thing can be delta x by delta t can come as du when it is small, correct? And your 1 by delta y can come as dy. So this whole thing d theta by dt can be written as du by dy. I hope you are clear with this. I hope I have answered this, students. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's it. Okay. So when you reduce when the time is less, when limit delta t tends to 0 and delta y tending to 0, both of things. When this delta y tending to 0, it is change in that particular velocity, and then change in that distance. Okay, that comes. So d theta by dt is du by dy. Okay, fine. Now, next point after this. Okay, so viscosity. What is the units of viscosity, or what is the dimensional quantity of or dimensionality of viscosity? What is viscosity? Viscosity is given as shear strain divided by the rate of shear stress. Shear stress divided by rate of shear strain. Now we know that everything can be represented in terms of m, l and t, where m is the mass, l is the length, t is the time. Correct? So similar way, if you consider this shear stress, what is stress? Stress is force per meter cube, right? Force per meter cube, force per meter square, is it not? So it is applied force divided by area, is it not? So what is the force? What is force? Force is mass into acceleration, correct? So we have L here, mass is there. What is that? M mass, L is LT raised to minus 2, correct? Meter per second square divided by L square, correct? So this comes as, if you consider shear stress, it comes as M L raised to minus 1 T raised to minus 2, correct? So let us write this, M L raised to minus 1 T raised to minus 2. What is du by dy? What is du? Du is, when you consider du can be written as du by dy if I write. Du is LT raised to minus 1, y is L. So what is it? It is T raised to minus 1, correct? T raised to minus 1. So the dimensional formula for viscosity is m L raised to minus 1 T raised to minus 3. Very important, has been asked in number of questions. Okay, so this is m L raised to minus 1 T raised to minus 3. What is the unit of viscosity? Unit of viscosity can be, what is this? This is shear stress, is it not? Shear stress is Newton per meter square. And what is this? It is du by dy in terms of seconds, is it not? It comes in terms of second. Du by dy comes as seconds, is it not? So it is nothing but Newton per meter square into, sorry, this is 1 by seconds, I'm sorry, this is 1 by seconds, it comes, I'm sorry, 1 by seconds, Newton per meter square into seconds. What is Newton per meter square? Pascal and second. So this is one of the things which I used to say, if in case it's a very good joke.
Isn't it so T minus 1, sir, viscosity?
Yes, it is T minus 1 here, so it comes as T minus 1. I'm very sorry. Okay, so here T power minus 2, T power minus 1, when it goes, it comes as ml raised to minus 1, T raised to minus 1. I am very sorry, students. Okay, there was a mistake in calculating this. So T raised to minus 1 here, so when it goes here, it comes as T raised to minus 1. This is the right answer. Okay, so now what is happening? Viscosity, unit of viscosity is Pascal second. Okay, there is a poor joke which I want to crack now. The poor joke is like this. So if you go in a quiz and then anybody asks you what is the units of viscosity and you don't know that, then what happens? You will say pass because you don't know. But the quiz master will say you are right. Your answer is right because the viscosity of fluid viscosity unit is pass only. That is Pascal second. Okay, just a poor joke to remember the unit of viscosity. If you don't know the unit of viscosity, say pass. Okay, and that will be the unit of viscosity. Sometimes poor jokes are also important for understanding. Okay, so that's it. So PAS. Okay, now there's another way to put it. What is Newton? Newton is in terms of kg meter per second square, correct, into meter square into seconds. So this can written as kg per meter second. This is also one of the way to represent unit of viscosity, kg per meter second, or PAS. Any doubts here, students? I hope it's clear. Okay, next one. Now viscosity of a viscosity depends on temperature. When the temperature varies, viscosity varies, correct, students? Okay, so let us see the importance of change in temperature on viscosity of fluids and viscosity of fluids. Okay, I hope there is no doubt here, students. Clear till here? You have written this down. Let me give a 2 minutes break and then we will go to that. Okay. Okay, next one. Okay, now let us see the influence of temperature on viscosity. Now one of the things we have to understand is what causes viscosity. Okay, we have told a lot of things here, shear stress and all those things, but what causes viscosity? In case of gases, the cause of viscosity, gases, okay, the cause of viscosity is intermolecular collision. What is that? It is intermolecular collisions. Collisions is responsible for viscosity. Okay, for example, if you have, say, a plate here, there is another plate over here, correct? There is a plate over here, there is another plate over here, and you have gas molecules which is randomly oriented. Okay, now what is happening if you want to move the top plate over the bottom plate? You have some resistance, and that resistance, this force, the resistance to this force or resistance to this movement with a velocity v is experienced by these molecules hitting the solid plate, correct? So there is a component, you want to move in this fashion, but what is happening, even a stationary molecule, if a molecule is stationary, for example, okay, when you want to move this, it will have a relative velocity in this direction, correct? If it is if the plate, this top plate is stationary, then yes, some of the molecules will hit like this, so there might be a force in this positive x direction. Now if I say this is x direction, okay, there is a force in this direction, but when it is moving, this one, because of the relative velocity, this will have component in this direction only, it will move rightwards, correct? So the force, it will resist the movement of this plate over this gas bed, you can say. Okay, so now the cause of viscosity is intermolecular collision. Now what is temperature? Temperature, when you say, in general, if you consider statistical thermodynamics, temperature is root mean square, RMS. It is RMS of velocity of individual molecules. If all the molecules take its velocity and square it, means you are taking the magnitude. When you take velocity of an individual particle, what does it mean? It means you are taking a vector. It has a lot of directions. It may be in this direction, that direction, anything. When you square it, what are you taking? You are taking its magnitude. When you square it, what is that? V dot V, correct? V dot V is a scalar. Okay, so that is why we square it. When you square a velocity, which is a vector quantity, you get the magnitude of that. So square and then root it, and you add it, root and then add it, summation, divide, mean, divide by number of molecules you have taken, okay, and then you take a square root of that, and this is statistical temperature. Okay, this is temperature which is taken statistically, and it is close to, for ideal gases, that is what is Kelvin is about. Okay, the Kelvin temperature what we have is the root mean square of individual velocities. Okay, so now as the temperature increases, velocity increases of the molecules, correct? When velocity increases, what increases next? When velocity increases, RMS increases, right? RMS velocity increases. So that is what it means, right? RMS velocity increases. Means what? The resisting force increases. Because the more number of the velocity, more and more number of molecules will hit that plate, correct? So as temperature increases, RMS increases, collisions with the plate increases. So viscosity increases. So what happens in gases? As temperature is increasing, viscosity increases. So for gases, viscosity is proportional to the absolute temperature. Any doubts here, students? Any doubts? This is something which is asked a number of times in number of exams. How viscosity is related to temperature. Okay, so in gases, as viscosity increases, as the temperature increases, viscosity increases, because the primary reason for viscosity is intermolecular collision. Fine. Next, let us go for fluids. We'll go for liquids. Okay, if I consider liquids, for example, what is the main reason for viscosity? The main reason for viscosity in case of liquids is cohesion. What is meant by cohesion? Both of the molecules are holding one by one, is holding hands. Okay, the cohesive forces are such that it is like holding hands. They are binded. There's attractive forces. Molecules, when it is close by, it has attractive forces, and those things are there. And when there is collision, there is a lot of things. That's what comes with other type of in the sense when you consider gas laws. This is ideal gas, right? PV is equal to MRT. Here molecular attraction is not taken into consideration, is it not? But when you consider real fluids, there is molecular attraction, and it has complex behavior, is it not? But one of the complex behavior in liquids is not understood properly. The molecular dynamics of liquids is not still understood. Okay, so there is a lot of research which is going on this area. Okay, so there is something called cohesion. Correct. What is cohesion? Cohesion is attractive forces. Okay, so this cohesive bonds which are there between two molecules, okay, these bonds loosens up when temperature increases. So my primary reason for cohesion is the reason for viscosity. Cohesion is the reason for viscosity. Now how it happens? If you have two plates here like this, okay, a lower plate and a top plate. Okay, this is a lower plate and then there is a top plate. Now when you say gases, the gases were different, is it not? But when you case liquid, it is like holding it out. There is adhesive force between this plate and this liquids. Okay, because there is an adhesive force, it is clinging on to that. When it is clinging, we say no slip. It doesn't slip at all. It is holding out here, and it is all thing like this. Everything is interconnected. Okay, these liquids are interconnected, and this is connected to this. So it is a mesh of exaggerated mesh, I am saying. Okay, so it is meshed. All the forces are there. Okay, so this is like this. It is like mesh this way. Okay, there is forces. Okay, yeah, tell me.
Sir, so this adhesion force is stronger than this cohesion force?
We are not worried now. Okay, we are not worried now. When we take surface tension, we will see relative adhesion and cohesive forces. We will see it later, but we are not worried until it holds it down. Okay, we are saying no.
So when you say it clings onto that surface, that means it stays there only, or it moves and clings?
Very important. Okay, actually, theoretically speaking, I say it is clinging onto it. It doesn't move. It is holding on the molecule of that particular solid. It is clinging, basically clinging. It is not leaving it. Okay, unless there is a sufficient force to pull it out. Okay, but I am saying the forces are not that great that it can pull it off. Okay, the complexity of that we will go further into it. It is not that clear now. As we go further, we will see what are the complexities involved. Okay. So now what is happening? Here there is another velocity which we are inducing. Okay, because of this, what is happening? It is not allowing it to go forward. So what is happening? All these things, after it has gone to the other place, suppose it is going like this, what is happening? These fluids are not allowing it to go. So what is happening? It is going like this. Okay, so here fluid is very complex. It is not like solid. Okay, solid, you may say, okay, afterwards it all aligns at a place and it stops. It gives maximum forces, and if there is no forces, then it breaks. Is it not? Okay, but fluid is not like that. It is a complex body. Okay, you cannot take in terms of structural one. Okay, so there is a lot of readjustment, there are a lot of molecular things which goes. Okay, molecular aspects which is there inside the fluid, but we are not going for that. It's a research subject. Okay, but main thing is that it is holding out each other. So when there is increase in temperature, when you have increase in temperature, the cohesive forces decreases. What happens? Cohesive forces decreases. And when cohesive forces decreases, because cohesion is the reason of viscosity, viscosity reduces. So in case of fluids or liquids, in case of liquids, I generally use liquids, fluids instead of liquids, wrong. Okay, in case of liquids, okay, viscosity or viscosity mu is inversely proportional to temperature T. Easy, students? Very, very, very important. Reasons are also important. The reason is cohesion. Any doubts here, students? Any doubts here?
So once again, why does temperature increase? Okay.
Temperature increases by external factors. You are supplying heat. Okay, it is not an internal one. We are, suppose temperature increases. In case temperature increases, then what happens to viscosity? Okay, so here intermolecular, you may talk about, sir, is there not intermolecular, you can say, motion? Yes, there is. There is vibrations. Okay, it moves, it oscillates. Yes, it oscillates. It's complex one. But what predominates is cohesion, the intermolecular attractive forces. Okay. Any other doubts, students?
Sir, as you said, it is a liquid. So can you say, tell us like for which we can say fluids? Like can you define a fluid, sir?
When you say fluids, fluid means where the rate of shear strain produces shear stress. That is a fluid. That is what is the definition we have gone here, is it not? What is the definition we had gone? We said rate of shear strain, shear stress is proportional to rate of shear strain. That is a fluid, is it not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it is applicable for both solids and liquids. This is fine. Tau is proportional to mu into d theta by dt, established for both gases as well as liquids. Okay, but next is this mu, how it depends on temperature. That's what we saw. I hope it's clear.
Yes, sir. Even for solids it's applicable?
Solids, see, I'll tell you one biblical quote. Okay, the biblical quote is like this. I don't know where it is there and all those things. It was told to me by my professor when he started fluid mechanics course, advanced fluid mechanics course in IIT Madras. Okay, so he said this, there is a Deborah number. Okay, and the biblical quote is like this. Biblical quote says that the mountains flow in front of God. Okay, mountains flow in front of the eyes of God. Okay, this is what is told. Okay, first side. Second side, there is one joke. Okay, I want to relate this joke with this. There is a joke. Okay, some human asked God. It seems somehow he had to see God. He said, okay. The human said to God, for you 1 penny is equal to $1 million of mine, is it not? So can you give me your 1 penny? Okay. God said, yes, fine, just a minute or just a second. Okay, just a second, because 1 penny of God is equal to $1 million for a human. Similar way, 1 minute or 1 second for God is so many years for a human, correct? So the same thing happens here. Okay, it flows. In fact, there is something called Deborah number. Okay, there is something called Deborah number. Just a second. There is something called Deborah number. Okay, Deborah number. I'm not sure about this one. I'm not worried. I don't remember what is there with that Deborah number, but it says, it defines how viscous a fluid is. Okay, more and more viscous. When viscosity tends to infinity, then it is a solid. Okay, when viscosity tends to infinity, it is a solid. So if you consider an ideal fluid, okay, now what is happening here? I have to say, this side I will put shear strain, rate of shear strain. I'll say d theta by dt, which is rate of shear strain, and this side I'll put viscosity. Okay, now for all the fluids, the thing is like this. This is fluids, normal Newtonian fluids. This is normal Newtonian fluid, where I have shear stress is proportional to shear strain. I'm sorry, this is not mu, I'm sorry, tau I'll put. Okay, tau. Okay, and this is mu, is it not? What is mu? Mu is the slope, correct? But as mu reduces, what is happening? This is becoming here like this. Thus, what do you say? This line is coming near the x-axis, and when mu is almost 0, then what happens? There is no shear stress at all. Whatever the shear strain you apply, whatever the force you apply, whatever the rate of shear strain you produce, correct? That is called an ideal fluid. What is that called? Ideal fluid. And as you increase the viscosity, as it goes over here, when viscosity becomes infinity, correct? Because the slope is infinity. Y is much high. What is slope? Delta y by delta x. Correct? Delta y is very high and delta x is very small. Then what happens? When mu tends to infinity, then it tends to be a solid. Easy, students? Okay. So now here, one of the things what happens, what is the time line you're taking? Very important. It's not that easy to be understood. It's a complex behavior. Okay. Now here time when you take in terms of seconds or milliseconds, is it not? Now take in terms of hundreds of years. If you take that, everything is a fluid. Even rocks, the mountains are fluids. Maybe there is a, if you say time-lapse video of the Earth's topology for millions of years, with every 10 years being 1 second, then you may see mountains being flowing. It is coming like this, and maybe you may say waves. I'm not sure. Okay, so mountains flow in front of gods. Okay, so this is one of the biblical quote which our professor used to quote. Okay, so this is how it is. I hope you have understood this, students. Any further doubts? Any further doubts?
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Clear? Okay. So these are some of the interesting things. Fluid mechanics is really, really interesting, and this fluid mechanics or engineering in such can change your thinking. It is not just getting those engineering concepts. It is very humane, I'll tell you. It's very human. Okay. You can relate this to your realistic thinking. Okay. Fine. Next one. Okay. Next one we will see in CGS unit. What is it called? Okay, the viscosity. See, we have these Americans are really, really rigid people. Okay, they don't change. Okay, in 1982, everyone, all the people in all over the world, they decided that we will follow SI units. Correct? They said we will follow SI units, but these Americans still are using pound. And somehow they are calling pound when you take a, have to represent pound. Can it not be P or PO? This is what we think, is it not? No, they will say LB. This is pound for them. Okay, and they don't now. Even now they are using miles instead of kilometers. We used to have miles. Like if you go to Bangalore, you have Entene Mile, correct? 8th mile. Okay, in Bangalore there is 8th mile. Why? There was time in India when we were using miles and feet. Even today we have not come out of feet, correct? In civil engineering, when we take it, we don't take what is the thickness of wall. If somebody asks, we will say, what is the thickness? 9 inches, is it not? 9 inch. We have also not come up. We are also a bit rigid. We are also democratic society, is it not? We are rigid people, okay? So 9 feet, 9 inches is the thickness of the wall, correct? So SI units we have to come out. But since we have not come out fully, we have to use the old units only. One of the units that is taken is poise. Okay. Now when you take out about this one, in SI unit, what is the unit? It is kg per meter second, correct? In case of poise, it is grams per centimeter second. That's it. What is poise? Poise is gram per centimeter second. So can you tell me 1 kg per meter second or 1 pass is equal to how many poise? Can you tell me, students? 1 pass is equal to how many poise? 10 poise. Very simple. So what is this? This is kg is 1000 and this is centimeter is 100. Correct? So 100 grams, 1000 grams, 100 centimeter and 1 second. So it is 10 poise. This we have to understand. Generally we take in terms of centipoise only. We write it like this, centipoise. So 1 centipoise, you have to say it is dynamic viscosity, not kinematic viscosity. Centipoise is 1 centipoise is equal to you can say 10 power minus 3 pass. These are the units we use. So sometimes when you take a design data handbook and all those things, there might be viscosity mentioned in poise. Okay, so we have to be very clear. Okay, next topic we have is kinematic viscosity, which we will take in tomorrow's class, but I will give you a bit of hint to that class. Okay, so there is something called kinematic viscosity, which is tomorrow's first topic. Okay, this is tomorrow's topic. Okay, kinematic viscosity. Kinematic viscosity is also called momentum diffusivity. What is that called? It is called momentum diffusivity. Okay, this is the topic which we are taking tomorrow. Okay, now what do you mean by diffusivity? Diffusivity means if you put a pan of water, okay, take a pan of water or a container of water and put a ink, put a drop of ink in this. What happens? This ink diffuses, correct? It diffuses, it becomes lighter and lighter as it goes, right? It diffuses with the time. Similar way, momentum also diffuses. What is momentum? Momentum is mass into velocity, and this diffuses. How do you say that? When you hit a water, you give mass into velocity. That mass into velocity is diffused. It is felt in a lot of places. And as the concentration of ink in the liquid is reducing, similar way the concentration of momentum also reduces as it goes further. Okay, so how does it is important? How it implies the boundary layer. Okay, and there is something called boundary layer. Suppose it is going over a solid surface. Now what is happening? There is a fluid which is coming. Okay, this has a momentum, mass into velocity, some velocity, u infinity I can say, correct? And what is the momentum of this? Momentum of this is 0, correct? But this is rigid. We are not allowing it to go forward. So this rigid momentum has to transfer to this when it hits here, correct? So how does it transfer? What is that happens? What happens to the next layer? Okay, and that speed of diffusion of this 0 momentum is nothing called momentum diffusivity, and it is a fluid property. It is a fluid property. Okay, for air it is different momentum diffusivity, for water it is different momentum diffusivity, like that it depends. Just like in case of ink diffusing in water, it depends on the ink properties and the water properties as well as the temperature. Similar thing here also. Any doubts here, students? We are stopping the class now. If you have doubts, please ask me.